Yeah, that's kind of the point.
It's the night that we're gonna fall in love. I don't care about you and him. I don't care about what has been. I only care about your soft skin. Cause we're still sleeping in my head. I don't care about you and him. I don't care about what has been. I only care about your soft skin. Cause we're still sleeping in my head.
Hey, hello, I'm JulieJo. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. And if you're not new here, welcome back. Today we're going to be listening to, well, I listened to it. You're just going to hear the highlights of it. The Brittany Dawn podcast. She has a new podcast called Chiseled and Called with Brittany Dawn, where she's now stepping into the breaking her silence thing. That's actually what she calls the episode. Breaking my silence. I was sued by the state of Texas. Now, we know that Brittany Dawn has stepped into this God era. So I do have a master's degree in theology and ministry. I feel like I have some unique ideas, unique thoughts when watching her do this stuff, this quote unquote, she lives freed thing that she's got going on, and this Jesus-y stuff. I think you get what I mean. So why am I doing this? Well, so that you don't have to hear stuff like this.
I get emotional because he's a good father, and he truly held my hand. Like Psalm 23 says, as I walked through the valley of the shadow of death, he held my hand. And he not only held my hand, but he showed me what joy is. And that when we're in him, in Christ, that's all we need.
And so that you don't have to listen to the entire podcast because it's over an hour long. I just want to hit the highlights for you. And honestly, a lot of it is very Brittany Dawn-like, if that makes sense. But I have looked at her content a lot, and there's not really substance. It's more of like a look at me type of content, as well as I've changed and Jesus forgave me, so you should forgive me too kind of vibe. It's weird. So she has no background other than going to a Christian college, which, by the way, there are plenty of non-Christian things that happen at Christian colleges, let's be real. But she has no background to be able to run She Lives Freed. I honestly believe that She Lives Freed, which is her ministry type of thing, it's just another money grab in my opinion. People are having to pay upwards of $600 to get baptized and for her to show it on her social media. That's weird. Her goal at these things, in my opinion, is to get people feeling vulnerable, tap into their emotions, and then say the right things to make them cry. Has anyone experienced a quote-unquote cry night at a Christian camp? Anyone? Raise your hand. Yeah? Me too. I think it's the same thing, but just like a Brittany Dawn cult camp. Sounds bad, but it's true. I get that same vibe. Let me know after this if you want me to cover the rest of her episodes below, and leave your thoughts below as well. I'm going to show a couple of TikToks, I know at least one or two, kind of negating what she says because she's going to post this on TikTok but say something completely different on her podcast. I just think that's weird.
I have mistakes that I've learned from, and I'm here to share what those mistakes are, take accountability, and share how I'm moving on with my life. That's just part of, being a human, right? We all fall flat on our face, and I really messed up. I really fell flat on my face.
It's interesting that she says that, and here's where one of the TikToks come in. She refers to this time frame of what all went down as cancel culture. That's how she refers to it.
There's not a day that goes by that I don't realize now how much of a blessing this platform and all of my platforms are. It's truly an honor to be able to show up every day and not only share my life and our life, but to share the love of God now, because that's not who I was even 4 years ago, right? And so I want to start with a scripture. And it's Luke 12:48. And it says this: "But the one who did not know and did what deserved punishment will receive a light beating. From everyone who has been given much, much will be required. And from the one who has been entrusted with much, even more will be expected." I have lived out Luke 12:48 over the last 4 years.
But she did, though. You don't just say you're going to give personal meal plans and workouts publicly for thousands to see and continue that for 5 or more years and not actually do that. This was figured out in a Facebook group, I think it's called Brittany Dawn Complaints, I'm not sure, that had over 4,000 people in it, and they realized it wasn't personal plans, but all generic, because a lot of them started sharing their plans and their workouts, their meal plans, whatever, and they realized it's all the same. There were people who wanted to gain weight even, and she gave them the same plan as people who wanted to lose weight, that, by the way, only had you eating 900 calories, allegedly. In my opinion, it was gross negligence on her part, and I just think she thought she could get away with it, honestly.
I've lost so much, and this isn't for anyone. Like this is to get my truth out there, the truth out there, to take ownership for where I went wrong, for the mistakes that I've made, and to free myself from that shame. Or not free myself, but let the Lord free me. Like when we bring that darkness inside of us to the light, the Lord can do something with that.
She says, my truth, the truth, and take ownership. Let's remember that, okay? She says my truth and corrects it to the truth. First off, red flag. And then she says she's going to take ownership. So let's hold her to that, right? Let's see if she actually takes ownership throughout this podcast. I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to be happy. I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to be happy.
There's a reason that saying exists, that skeletons are in the closet.
Yeah.
Why are they in the closet? Because nobody wants them posted on Front Street.
Yeah.
With the presence of social media. It's a blessing and a curse. Because your skeletons are right on Broadway.
Yeah.
For everyone to see. And tell your truth. Go from there. Start from the beginning. And I'm going to challenge you that I think that when you get done with this, you will feel freed from that burden of shame.
Yeah. Or at least when it goes live. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, first off, what are you doing here, Jordan? Mr. Violence Against Black People, throwing them on the ground for no reason, cop? Okay, sit down, close your mouth. I don't want to hear it, Jordan. Also, frankly, the bulb isn't screwed in very tight for Jordan. He is an enabler. He also interrupts her all the time. Have you seen the umbrella of what the church looks like? It's like God, the husband, the wife, the child. That's kind of how they act. It's like he's over her, and like it's okay if he interrupts, but it's not okay if she interrupts, which it just bothers me. Anyway, my skeletons don't look like me intentionally scamming thousands of people and preying on their insecurities. That's not how most people's look. So she goes on to tell how it all kind of started, and she starts in 2012, being in college and insecure and falling in love with fitness. And in 2013, she lost weight, she started working in a gym. She mentioned that she played sports in high school, so she knows the proper form of everything. Listen, you can learn proper form in high school, but I'm telling you right now, you're not going to learn the proper form of everything in high school. She wanted other women to gain the confidence she gained, and it was on Instagram that it all started, and she grew pretty quickly. So she wrote down all of her workouts in a journal and said she was a personal trainer at the gym, but apparently she didn't have qualifications, so I don't know how she was able to do that. She then told the story of getting evicted due to her roommate and couch surfing. This led to her launching the Brittany Dawn website. She says it was the Lord who led her to make this website, you know, the one that scammed thousands of people. Yeah. And then she kind of acted like it was all in his plan. Like her doing this was a part of his plan. Props not. We do a nice 10-minute skip-a-rooney right here because I wish he would stop talking.
I'll fast forward to I didn't realize that hustling and working hard and grinding, you know, there was a time in 2015 to 2020 where that put your head down and grind mentality was the thing to do. And I didn't realize that was quickly going to backfire on me. I saw myself as the solution. And at this point, I was not living for the Lord. I was so conceited and just self-absorbed. And it's hard to not be when you're in the fitness industry to the magnitude that I was.
Okay. She says that. However, I don't think that's changed at all. Like I mentioned earlier, all of her content's basically about her, showing her success. Let's look at it as a meal, right? The entree is her trying to show how she's become successful again, and then she added like a little side of Jesus to the plate. It's pretty apparent to me, especially when you look through her social media.
Well, that's the part I think that gets lost in a lot of this is, and I know you're going to cover it in a minute, but there were some that fell through the cracks.
Absolutely. That's what I was going to
Didn't get what they paid for. had some delayed responses
Yeah.
to some emails.
Yeah. And that all comes back to, again, me saying like, I thought I was my own answer.
Yeah.
I thought that if it needed to be done, I could do it. But in the grand scheme of things, there's only 24 hours in a day.
Well, and also I think the key point to hit on there is to take ownership for those mistakes, but also to say that there were thousands of happy customers who got what they paid for, had results, or may or may not have had results, because at the end of the day, what you were putting out could have been the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if that client doesn't hold up their end of the bargain.
Yeah.
But there were thousands of women,
over 5,000 clients,
that were very, very pleased.
Delayed responses? You mean no response, leading them to comment on Brittany's social media and DMing her, leading Brittany to deleting those comments. Tell me, Jordan, what do you think a delayed response is? I really think she just thought it would all go away, honestly. Well, it didn't, and here we are. Then here, Jordan continues enabling her, talking about thousands of happy customers. But we hear her say that she had 5,000 customers, and it was a portion of them that were upset. Like a small portion. She mentions it later. It's like 3% or 2%. Girl, there were 4,000 people in that Brittany Dawn Complaints Facebook group. I have a feeling a good chunk of that group actually used her plans. I don't think it was just 2% like she's going to mention. Obviously, it was a large amount of people.
So leading up to 2019, there had been a few girls that had emailed leading up to 2019 asking for refunds. I had a very strict no refund policy on my website. I had a contract that girls had to sign stating that they did not have an eating disorder. So they knew that when they signed up with me, they could not have an eating disorder. And if they did have an eating disorder, that would be addressed. I would refund them, etc.
That is interesting because when you look at her Instagram posts around that time, she talked a lot about her own eating disorder and how what she was doing for herself helped her, and giving people the idea that it could also help them. She also was using super weird hashtags like hashtag skipping meals. What is that? And one person even said to her, I truly need guidance, help, the right information and support right now. I currently have an eating disorder, horrible body image views. I'm underweight for my height. And you know what Brittany said? Great. Welcome to the hashtag Team Brittany Dawn family. I mean, come on. I know why she's lying about something that is so easily provable though, because her fans won't watch people like me. They won't watch videos hating on her. They won't fact check her, obviously. And she'll just say we're haters and all about cancel culture, which is what she refers to this whole situation as. She acts like it's all our fault, when in reality, it was her actions that led her here. Just like the scammers I cover and the dangerous people like Colleen Ballinger and Blair from Illuminati, we are the haters who know nothing.
This wasn't a vacuum from Target.
Yeah.
You buy a vacuum from Target, and if you're unhappy with it, you can take it back. There's a couple of things that happen at that point. That Target either sends that defective vacuum back to the retailer, or it's sold on a wholesale market, refurbished, whatever. But eventually, like, Target doesn't hold the bag for the value of that vacuum. It goes back to the manufacturer, and typically those manufacturers will refurbish that, sell that at a discounted rate to recoup the amount that it costs to purchase or to produce the vacuum. Right. With the digital goods space, that's the reason for the no refund policy, right? Because how do you get your program, whether that's your workout plan or your diet program, and then say, well, you know, what ensures that you, as the provider, get that back?
First off, Jordan, just stop talking. Seriously, I don't know why he acts like what he's saying is wise. Let me put it this way. It's like they ordered a vacuum for a carpet and got a dang broom and dustpan when it comes to this Brittany Dawn fitness stuff. It was not what they ordered from the beginning. Both of these people, Brittany and Jordan, know this. However, they are, in my opinion, intentionally misleading people.
But the person that had the plan had purchased the plan in 2014 and then was coming forward in 2018 going into 2019 because she heard about XYZ going through and getting a refund. That's not That's not okay.
That's the problem
And
with this entire thing.
Yes.
Is the people who 2014 to, or 2000 through 2018 who were customers received what was purchased.
I'm sorry, Jordan has no idea what he's saying because he wasn't there. He doesn't know the story. He knows Brittany's story, but he doesn't know the story. So, okay, maybe I'll give him a little grace, right? You mean to tell me it's not okay for someone to get a refund years later when they figured out that you never actually gave them the personalized plan that you were supposed to give them? Yeah, that's the part she leaves out. She never actually gave them the product that she promised. And that's the issue.
I think it was on Saturday this prank happened. It was all a blur once it happened, truth be told. So I was saying hi to people, signing magazines that I was on the cover of, giving hugs, taking pictures, all the fun things. And this guy came up to me and he said, "You scammed my daughter." And he was loud and abrasive, and it was traumatizing. My dad always taught me growing up that if you don't know what to say in the heat of a moment, it's better to not say anything at all. And so I stayed silent. That's biblical.
First off, if your dad taught you that, then why'd you do your apology video? Maybe you should have just stayed silent. Second, whether this was a prank or not, it's not like it was a lie. Sure, he didn't have a daughter, but a lot of those people she scammed were daughters. It very likely could have been a real father that day that came in and did this. Frankly, I think it's iconic, and she acts like she's some victim in the situation. No, she was being confronted with the truth of the reality of the situation. She didn't know he wasn't the father of someone she scammed when he was doing it. She goes on to blame Cassidy Campbell, who's the guy who did that prank, for everything that happened when it comes to people calling her a scammer and practically ruining her life because his prank video went viral. Her and Jordan go on to say how it was awful and that she was looked at as someone who did this intentionally, like she wasn't the one who ran the company and made the plans for it and sent out those plans that were supposed to be personalized but weren't. In my opinion, it was absolutely intentional. The moment she pressed the button to send the generic workout and meal plans to someone who thought they were getting personalized ones shows her intention to me. She talks about the pension called Stop Brittany Dawn Scams and said there were 15,000 people who signed it, but she only had 5,000 clients. She's acting as if those clients didn't have any friends or family who supported them by signing this, and as if people couldn't have an opinion on this and support it without experiencing it. That is such a weird take and shows how she truly does not care, nor does she mean it when she says she's sorry.
And on April 25th, 2023, after a 9-hour mediation, we came to a settlement agreement. Despite what those who are 5 degrees separated have said online, there's no trial, and there will be no trial. It's over with. It's done with. It ended on April 25th, 2023, a little over 4 years later. That settlement price that I agreed to in mediation is $531,000. It's a lot. And I am paying money. I have paid money.
This next timestamp I'm going to let you listen to before I go more in depth is less than 30 seconds after she just said that. Okay, keep that in mind.
Some of those people were just...
They were just the loudest in your inbox.
They were so loud. I mean... the most hateful emails that I have ever read, that I would never, ever wish on my greatest enemy. I mean, just awful. And then there were the people that were never clients of mine, never knew who I was before that bandwagon mentality, before I went viral on the internet for all the wrong reasons. There were people who didn't hear about who I was until my face was plastered on Good Morning America. And they were even louder. They were just... There's so much I could say.
Literally, now is your time to say it, and you choose not to? An interesting choice. Do you see what she did there? She explained that she had to settle and is having to pay money. Probably not all of it or near all of it if she abides by what was asked of her. But she went from saying, I am guilty, pretty much, to crying about how mean people are and how awful she was treated, taking away from the fact that she had to come to a settlement of over $500,000. That doesn't normally happen if you're innocent. She got off the subject as quickly as she could and then made herself the victim. Wow.
Well, and it's just, that's really hard for me to talk about.
The big thing that I think you have hit on that needs to be reiterated is the big differentiation between purposeful and malicious, and a business growing too fast. Had there been purposeful and malicious defrauding of people, everyone on the internet wants to call you a fraud.
Scammer.
Well, a lot of people.
Yeah.
Fraud is a prosecutable offense in the state of Texas.
Yeah.
There was no fraud.
The lawsuit was because of her alleged fitness scam. That's what they called it. Texas sued her over her fitness scam. Just to be clear, again, she is not taking any responsibility for her actions. That's why this has gone on so long. That's why people are still mad. It's funny she said at the beginning she was going to tell her truth, the truth. It still lies from what I can tell.
May have been on the fence about me. I mean, I see the podcast reviews. I see what people say. They say they make me out to be a monster. Yet these people have never sat in front of me. And my hope is that people see I'm a human. That I'm a human with a heart who made mistakes, who made grave errors in her past. I was young and I was dumb and I was naive. But who's sitting here years later in her 30s now saying, I've learned my lesson and I'm moving on. And my prayer is that the people who have followed along this journey, maybe from afar, who have called me those names, have labeled me those things, that they would be able to find space in their heart to forgive me, to hear my heart, even through a podcast, through your headphones, through your car, wherever you're at right now, that they would hear the truth to this. This is the first time that the truth has come out.
Okay, yeah, I had to put that in there because I couldn't be the only one to cringe, okay? The stuff I'm not covering in this is pretty much just that kind of thing where she's like bringing in the Bible and like, this is my truth, this is the truth. Super cringe stuff. Jordan goes on to love bomb Brittany and says how wonderful she is and pretty much tries to convince us that she's great. And then he also had this super weird take and it just struck me so wrong. I'll let you hear it.
And if I'm hearing what you're saying, this is an attempt for forgiveness and a second chance. And in my opinion, not just based off of what it says biblically, but the precedent that has been set in this nation, in our culture, is that should be extended to people. And I just want to publicly say how proud of you I am for what you've tackled and going through this. And I wouldn't take back any of this.
That. He literally said, I wouldn't take back any of this. That's weird, right? Just a super weird take. Also, frankly, nobody cares about Jordan's opinion. I wouldn't take any of this back. Okay, but a lot of people would, and I feel like Brittany probably would too, which she actually does kind of go on to say like she would, and then she backpedals and it's like, it's Jesus. You can hear it. I'll let you hear it.
So yeah, I wish I could go back and fix that. But at the same time, this has completely led me to the Lord. I wouldn't be who I am today.
Nope.
I wouldn't be alive today. Literally. If I had not gone through what I went through and walked through that fire and encountered Jesus and he saved my life. And just because you invite the Lord into your heart doesn't mean your life is sunshine and rainbows. And he walked me through the fire. He didn't just pull me out of the fire. He walked me through it.
See what I mean? Like, she's like, yeah, I would go back. But then ultimately she's like, this is what God wanted for me. And then gives like a biblical example of why this was supposed to happen. I'm sorry. What? I just think she's trying to continue her grift. That's why she's kind of like, I would take it back. Kind of not really just because of God. But ultimately, I do think that she would take it back. I really do. Because I don't think that her passion is God and whatever she's doing right now. I think that her original grift of like being a fitness whatever, that's really what she wants to do. But now she has to do this because it's the thing that's making her money, and it's the only area of the reality of social media where she can be popular and make money while also simultaneously have scammed people and been like a really crappy person, because God forgives them. Okay, let's finish this out with one more part.
If a previous paying client of mine was hurt by my mistakes, I'm so sorry. I wish, like I just said, I wish I could go back and fix that. That was never my intention, ever. Even in my years of being young, dumb, and naive, I still loved people. And my prayer is that you would be able to find space in your heart to forgive me, just like I've forgiven myself.
I guess my question is, how can people forgive someone who isn't sorry, who truly is only upset that they got caught and not that they hurt people? I feel like that's pretty apparent, but let me know what you think. And she goes on to say she's closing this chapter of her life, except that there are more episodes left in the series, so really the chapter isn't closing, it's still currently open. Let me know if you want me to give the highlights of those other podcast episodes so that you don't have to listen to it or whatever, and that I will listen to it and share it with you. I've listened to this episode like 3 or 4 times, and it just gets worse, honestly, as I listen to it, because I pick up on other really crappy things that she says. Also, I need you to watch this cringy TikTok before we go. Ready? Watch.
It's time for your next adventure. I have no idea what I'm going to do tomorrow. How exciting.
Wasn't that so cringy? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below, and let me know if you want me to continue this. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Show you what I'm all about. Make up for what we lost. Tonight is the night that we're gonna fall in love. I don't care about you and him. I don't care about what has been. I only care about yours.